never really thought very much about that line from the book of Revelation about being washed in the blood of the Lamb until I met an old shepherd on a trip out west once. He was the first real, genuine shepherd I'd ever met. The genuine article, boots and a stick and dogs, the whole 9 yards. So I took advantage of that opportunity to ask him about his trade. The Bible is riddled with references to shepherds and shepherding, and I thought I would take advantage of that opportunity with the real deal to find out about it. And this shepherd, he was an old man, an old wrinkled man in dusty boots and dusty jeans, the whole thing. He said it was hard, lonely work, shepherding. He said he spent a lot of time moving a large flock of sheep from place to place. He said you had to be really careful with pastures because sheep will eat grass and pull out the roots, so they'll destroy a pasture. They'll eat everything in sight, so you have to really watch and gauge where you are in terms of sustenance in the pasture, and you have to keep the sheep moving along so they don't destroy the future of a particular pasture. You have to move them from water source to water source because they will stand in the water and tromp around and mix up dirt and ick and make the water not great for drinking. So you're always moving them around to new fresh water, clean water source. And then you obviously have the natural predators of sheep and the diseases that exist. And I thought about all this for a minute, and I thought, this is about what I expected. I'm not a rocket scientist, but in terms of the conversation about shepherding, that was, exactly what I imagined it would probably be like. But he paused, and he said, springtime is really the most difficult time to be a shepherd. He said the ewes give birth in spring. And he said it's a really difficult time for the flock because all of the ewes don't make it. They don't all survive the birthing process. And he said also a lot of the lambs that are born don't survive either. He said it's a really strange image looking out at this pasture, this flock. He said it's a mix of scarcity and abundance. On the one hand, you have these ewes that have just given birth that are ready to nurse and offer sustenance from their very bodies. And they don't have lambs. And then you have these lambs wandering alone by themselves, incredibly hungry, with no source of sustenance. And he said sheep aren't like a lot of other animals. They won't naturally adopt another lamb that's not their own offspring. And he said this is where the role of the shepherd is incredibly important. And friends, it's a little graphic, but I'm going to lay it on you. I'll have you know at the 9:30 with the kids, I was very circumspect about how I put this out there. But the shepherd takes the bodies of the lambs that didn't make it, and he knows which mother the deceased lambs came from. And he bleeds the bodies onto the surviving lambs that don't have mothers. And through this shedding of blood, through this washing in blood, a mother will adopt, a ewe will adopt a lamb that doesn't belong to her and raise it as her own forever. Now, I'd always thought about the shepherd as a nice pastoral-looking guy standing on a big rock somewhere, maybe with a stick in his hand, waving and shouting commands to herding dogs that do his bidding. I've always thought the dogs were more involved with the sheep than the shepherd. But that image of a shepherd wading into the messiness of the life of the flock, prepared to roll up his sleeves, shed blood in the name of life, I think is just an incredibly powerful image. It's an image that tells us what shepherding is really about servant leadership, about involvement and engagement, being prepared to pay a price for the life of a community.